right? So talking about software engineering for 2022, right? So just a bit disclaimer before I continue this conversation. So the subsequent conversation is purely speculation based on my observation in software engineering over the last 5 years within my circle of visibility. Now you are free to disagree with my opinion. In fact, it's even better if you disagree with what I'm going to say, right? Because it will help me see things in a different way, right? So without further ado, let's head over to the first song of the day. Okay, let's see what we have here. So probably going to start with a song, a fast-paced song to get our engine warm up. And what's best to start the game with? Let's start with -1. -1. Let's stop by here. I'm just gonna dial the volume. Open song. -1 space mix. Wait, did I select level 16? That might be a bit too hard for me. Yeah, just gonna Alright, and that's the first song of the day, -1. Okay, so what I want to talk about first is the main reason why I quit my job. Right? So the main reason why I want to quit my job is because I made a mistake in my personal career growth. Okay, so I plan my personal career goals around the needs of the current team, right? And you know, actually, once I've done that, the set of career goals does not actually match my current job title as a software engineer, right? And although I'm able to fulfill my current roles, right, and try to achieve these career goals that is set around the needs of the team, it actually doesn't match my personality, right? So my personality is more of a, there's this kind of personality. So I'm INTJ, so basically I'm more suitable to be doing investigative work. Right, so I'm more suitable to do investigative work, and although I fulfill my roles and the imaginary career goals, I kind of like burn myself out, and perhaps this is what they call the imposter syndrome. So that's one of the main reasons why I decided to stop working for a while. Hey, just need to set up my OBS correctly. And there's too many buttons to press. I should have gotten a dedicated stream keyboard. Alright, so let's resume and play the second song of the day, Picking. So those are the reasons I believe I've decided to take a step back from software engineering and to really reorientate myself in the world of increasing demand of software solutions, right? And one of the key observations that I have made over time, right, is that there is an increased demand of software solutions, but there is simply not enough software engineer to deliver reliable software. So that in itself, right, has an interesting impact to how organizations fulfill the business needs, right? And one of the simplest way to fulfill this demand is to massively hire resources. But as you can imagine, right, if everybody starts doing that, there isn't enough talent to go around the entire industry, and what we end up is hiring a lot of junior developers into the team, right? So let's enjoy the third song, Prince of Darkness. Right, and that's the song Prince of Darkness by M2U. Now you can easily imagine, right, when you mass hire a lot of junior developers into your team, right, what does it mean to the existing engineers, right? The existing engineers are going to seize all these opportunities to be promoted, right, and that has an interesting effect to the organization structure. Now these resources who seize the opportunity to be promoted is not just about engineers, right? It goes all the way to business analysts, quality assurance, right, and even support, right? Everybody will try to seize this opportunity to get promoted, right, or at least take on new responsibilities.
Once again, back to
Alright, so what's a good song that we can play next? Probably go with Sparrow. Right, so newcomers join, a large wave of new joiners come in, everybody tries to be promoted, but you know, after this promotion, right, not every resource, right, not every promoted resource is able to lead and nurture the new wave of newcomers, right? So what we have over here, right, is a very big deficit in the middle layer, right, to help onboard the newcomers, right? So onboarding does not is not limited to all the HR, the human resource and assets, but it also has to do with understanding what the engineering team is trying to do, right? In terms of, you know, product development, in terms of engineering efforts, in terms of delivery, right? So the end-to-end delivery pipeline, right? There just isn't enough mid-level or senior resources to help bridge the gap in knowledge. Right. So understanding that newcomers join, we have this big deficit in the knowledge, and let's enjoy the next song, Sparrow. Right, that's the song Sparrow by XXDBXX and Crew. So just let that piece of information settle in for a while and just think about it, right? So increased demand, we hire more people, existing team members get promoted, but nobody wants to train the new joiners, or nobody wants to nurture them and get them ready for the upcoming challenge. So, and then couple that with what management aspects, right? So abandon the thought that you are a technical personnel for the time being, and put yourself in the management shoes, right? So as a management, you have something that you want to achieve by a certain timeline, okay? And then now everybody in the delivery pipeline is telling you that we need more resources before we can commit to additional work, right? And then your first response is let's hire more, okay? And now the team members are in, and we say that hey, now we have all these people on deck. How fast can we churn out what we set out to achieve? Right? So I think that's the challenge that every organization is encountering. Right? We need to achieve certain business needs by a certain time. Now we have the resource. So what's next? Can we deliver on time? Can we deliver as soon as possible? Right? And then this keyword agile, right, comes into play. And the really interesting thing about agile is that every organization will look at the agile manifesto, right, in a slightly different perspective. Okay, so we'll talk about the agile manifesto at least within my own personal definition and what I have observed everybody else has taken up agile. So let's enjoy the next song, Substance. So playing the song Substance with a new record, right? Add some substance to the conversation. So what does agile mean to me? Alright. So agile, in my personal opinion, is managing risk, right? What is the least amount of effort that you can put in to mitigate the risk of delivering something as soon as possible? So that's how I interpret the Agile Manifesto, right? The minimum amount of effort to mitigate the risk. And risk has a lot of different definitions to different user groups, right? So risk in terms of business management, risk in terms of software engineering, risk in terms of hosting, right, and maintaining the business continuity, right, of the software solution, right. So combine all that risk together and then normalize the least amount of effort that you need to do to ensure that things can be delivered as soon as possible. So that's my individual perspective on the Agile Manifesto, right? And maybe after the next song, White Rose, right, I can share what I have observed, that how people has done Agile, right? So those are in what, with due respect, everybody's doing their best effort to implement Agile. So it's more like sharing my personal what I see and what I feel, rather than right or wrong. And hence how different organizations that I've come across have done Agile, and how I've personally done Agile is always a gray area, right? So how do you define the minimum amount of effort, right? How do you define the minimum amount of effort that everybody can agree on, right, to mitigate the risk? Right, so you can't have too little and you can't have too much. But nonetheless, right, but irregardless of how anybody were to look at minimum effort, right, there's one thing that we have to embrace when you talk about trying to be agile, right, is that your delivery dates has to be flexible, right? If your delivery date is not flexible, then the scope of delivery must be flexible. Because when you go agile, right, until you reach a certain level of maturity, right, there's definitely gonna be a lot of surprises along the way. So if the buy-in from management, the buy-in from engineering, the buy-in from delivery, right, does not conform to what is being flexible on the day of delivery, then we are setting ourselves up for a war of pain, right, where everybody has different expectations of what needs to be delivered, and when things don't get delivered, heads will roll. So the next song is Anytime. So think about it, right? You have mass amount of new joiners into the team, right? It will take some time for the team to mature and grow to a level of competency, right? So if you're not flexible with either the scope of delivery or the date of delivery, right? Eventually people will try very hard to make things happen, right? And that goes to the next topic that I would like to talk about, right? Is what happens to people who are not juniors, right? People who are not juniors, people who understand the system, and yet they have to both deliver things with the same amount of velocity and also to coach, ensuring the new joiners are able to take up, share the burden of the scope of work. So next song, maybe we can take a look at something from the new DLC. Let's try Max 301 by Naoki, right? So people who are already familiar with the system and how they will react, right, to this situation. Interesting drum and bass, I suppose. This song is more like a drum and bass kind of song, right? Okay, this is the same Naoki that I know of who has composed songs for DDR. So DDR also has multiple songs composed by Naoki from Japan, I guess. Right? Japan Naoki composed things like Dynamite Grave back in DDR third mix. So this is something new. If it's the same Naoki we have heard of. Okay, so let's talk about people who are already familiar with the system and more or less how they help juniors while maintaining existing velocity. So for every system that you have, So for every production system that any organization has, there is a minimum level of complexity. Now the problem comes when your team member, right, instead of applying their skills to solve engineering problems, they are applying their skills, they are applying their engineering skills as a coping mechanism around resource composition. It's a mouthful, but to put it in simpler terms, it's basically, instead of solving engineering problem, instead of using people to solve engineering problem, you're using engineering problem to solve people's problem. so that is interesting, right? That's an interesting dynamics that I've observed over time. Right, so let that settle down in your mind and enjoy the next song, Wars of the Roses of 1455. Right, so that's Wars of the Roses. Right, so that's certainly very interesting, right? As in, software engineering, what we were doing last time, right, is to develop software solutions so to address business needs, right? So that's one aspect of software engineering. The other aspect of software engineering is, of course, with all the technology startups that we have been observing recently, right? We have a software solution, right, to bring value, right, prior to any kind of business needs. So that's to solve common problems that people observe in real life. For example, booking of private hire vehicles, right? So we have things like Uber, right? So there wasn't an economy, there wasn't a business industry over private hire vehicles back then, right? So that's one aspect of software engineering. Yeah, so we were using engineering to solve human problems. We're using our skills to solve business problems, right? Solve business problems. Or at least we're trying to bring some business value. But today it seems that we are using technology, right, engineering techniques to solve team composition problems. Because there isn't enough senior engineers. We have different technologies such as low-code platform. We have technologies such as drag and drop programming. We have more what you see is what you get kind of software development processes going on. Right, so I guess it's time for me to take a step back, right? So as someone who is very enthusiastic about technology, as someone who often who goes into a rabbit hole, right, to investigate complex technology to bring business value, this is definitely a shock to me, right? So before even going further, I think that I should take a step back and rethink what I feel about software engineering. Does this mean that we have to sacrifice certain aspect of software engineering to fulfill the new era, right? The new era where software demand is so strong, but there isn't enough engineers to go around to deliver reliable software. And that also means to plan, to have something in mind, a technique, a strategy, right, to help deliver software solutions with the existing team composition. So this may include things like training for juniors, can also include things like watering down the technology, right? Watering down the technology. So that's what I'll talk about next after this song, Brain Power. Are you ready? That's the song Brain Power. Especially good for people who use too much brain power. Right, so next song, Daydream. Right, so my only problem with how I look at myself in this new era of software engineering is that instead of using my skills to solve engineering problems, I have to adapt to using my engineering skills to solve resource composition problem. Right? So that's really just my individual opinion. You know, and sometimes I start to worry if I am well suited to address problems like this, right? And what happens when the demand for software actually goes down, right? So if I focus my energy to do this, right, to solve the human composition problem, then what happens when the demand goes down? So interesting question to ponder about, right? Maybe the only way to get the answer is to take a break and daydream for a week or two, and we'll see how things go from here. The next song, Daydream by Rant.
Five, four, three, two, one, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
That's the song Daydream. I didn't play. I played horribly. That's why I feel the song doesn't even sound like Daydream anymore. It sounds like a nightmare. definitely not Daydream. At least the way I play it sounds like a nightmare, right? Right, and then the next song we can try. Maybe we can try. We want to go for something that's easier. Something that is around level 13 or at most 14. Any songs that YouTube wants to listen to? Maybe we can go for Dreamy Flight. Song Dreamy Flight. Let's go. Right, that's the song Dreamy Flights by Transin. So I guess in conclusion, what I really wanted to talk about is that the demand for software solutions have reached an all-time high, right? At least in my specific region. And there just isn't enough trained engineers to develop software in a reliable fashion, right? But at the same time, everybody is paying money to develop a bespoke, a custom software solution. Right? Everybody's paying money. So the question now comes to, how can software engineering deliver such business value as soon as possible, right? With this influx of junior developers, right? There are people who are doing mid-career change, at least in my region, right? Mid-career switch to software engineering. Organizations are recruiting them in, to bring business value, right? Using software solutions. So how should we design the software solution such that even junior developers can bring value onto the table as soon as possible? Right? Should all software solutions be treated as a means to a business end? Does that mean that we have to compromise quality, right? Because you don't have enough senior engineers, you don't have enough developers who even know basic concepts like object-oriented programming, right? Encapsulation, abstraction, right? All these junior developers, they don't even understand concepts like this, right? Their first intuition is to copy and paste code to deliver their work items, right? So last time we don't even need to debate about quality. Last time we just say that, okay, ensure that your software is reliable, have all the tests in place, right? And now all of a sudden quality becomes a debatable topic. Is that where software engineering is heading towards? Do we even need to debate about quality before we deploy to production? And I really wish that I can forget about all these problems, right? And just, Raven, easy to Raven, this is your job scope, right? Forget about all these things, right? Just do what you are just employed to do. Stop thinking about problems that is not your problem. Right? So maybe the next song will at least help me forget about all these concerns and considerations, right? About quality software in an era where software solution demand is so high. Right, so let's play the next song, Forget. beautiful, beautiful song, Forget by Freya. Freya? Yeah, that's probably how I should pronounce the artist name. Very nice song, right? That will help you forget your worries. Probably the next song that I really want to play is Go. So after all that talk, pessimistic talk about software engineering in the current, at least my limited and extremely opinionated way to look at software engineering now, right? We should listen to some songs like Go to really lift up the spirit, right? Lift up the spirit and get ready for the next era of software engineering, right? So the next song, Go! Right, that's the song Go by Andy Lee. Wow, my favorite composer in the entire EZ2DJ series. Andy Lee composed a lot of fantastic songs like MVMass. Right, if I recall, MVMass is also by, oh no, where's the original MVMass? Okay, I was wrong. So MVMass was not by Andy Lee. RFC. Right, RFC is by Andy Lee. Right. And you realize that, you know, RFC2 is also by Andy Lee, and this is the evidence that these two different acronyms, Andy Lee is a full name, and the ND is actually referring to the same person. So perhaps we can play the original version, right? RFC1, right? For one of my favorite composer of all times. So let's head over to Battle Rock RFC by Andy Lee. Alright, so that's really an hour long of my extremely opinionated perspective of software engineering today. It sounds more like a rant than a conversation, right? And I really apologize for this. So let me know in the comments in this video, should I continue talking about topics like this from my own personal opinion? Right? Is it too much? Is it too deep? Is it too shallow? Right? Let me know in the comments below. Or would you prefer that I talk about the game itself, right? Or talk about other topics, right? If you think that my train of thoughts is unique and interesting, and you would like me to take a look at certain topics to think about, right? Leave a comment and I will definitely find time to study the topic of interest. And probably just to end the stream with one last song for today. And that's probably just gonna play Showdown, right? Once again by NDD. And this song is really the song that I listen to when I want to push my own limits. So let's hope that this song will get stuck onto my head, right, as I prepare for the next journey in software engineering. And without further ado, the last song for today is Showdown. So that's the last song for today. So wish me all the best, right? While I take some time to complete certain certifications to prepare for my next journey in software engineering. And until I see you guys and girls again, remember to stay safe and be great out there. Goodbye.